Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the Infinite Baffle channel. My name is Niall and today we've got a video that's actually a little bit inspired by something that we did last year. Now, if you've been following the channel for some time, you might recall we did a video where we covered the differences between a Bowers & Wilkins floor standing speaker and a Bowers & Wilkins bookshelf speaker, the kind of nuances, the benefits of each, which would be best for you. And that video did really well. So we thought, why not do the same kind of concept, but this time looking at some KEF speakers, the R3s and the R7s, the Meta versions specifically. That video did so well, and every time we do anything around KEF, the support also seems to be absolutely fantastic. So again, if you do enjoy this upload, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe if you're new for weekly hi-fi content, and leave your thoughts in the comment sections down below. I mean, if this is a concept you enjoy, the bookshelf versus floorstander, and there are other models that you'd like to see, do let us know down there and we'll see what we can put together in the future. So no messing around, getting straight stuck into it, talking about the design and the appearance, comparing the R3 and R7 Meta. And as you might imagine, both being from the same family, the same range, the same manufacturer, they have got a lot in common aesthetically. Yes, the R7 is obviously bigger, but when you look at the tweeter design, the unique drivers, all of that stuff looks exactly the same aesthetically. They've both got the wonderful shadow flare zone that goes around the driver as well, which, I mean, any excuse, as I always say with the KEF stuff, to use the term shadow flare, which is just, it looks as cool as it sounds effectively. But yeah, they've got a lot in common on that front. Now, I will say on top of all that, the finishes that we've got here are absolutely stunning as well. The titanium grey in the R7s looks absolutely wonderful. I think the contrast with the grey and then the orangey reddy tweeter looks absolutely sublime. And then you've got the indigo blue R3s, which I think actually for me look even better. I mean, indigo blue may not be the most neutral finish in the world, but the glossy blue look, I think, looks absolutely sensational, stunning. As you would expect with both speakers being from the same family, they also are available in the same set of finishes. One area that is a little bit different is that the R7 Metas include a set of feet which you can mount to the bottom of them. Again, with the R3 Meta being a bookshelf, you're obviously not going to expect that. But the feet that come with the R7 Metas, that are solid enough quality. They're not the most amazing quality feet you'll ever see, but they do the job really well. They fit the design perfectly and they're easy enough to fit as well. One thing that I do have to mention very early doors as well is that I think a lot of people, when you're looking at a bookshelf versus floor stander, one thing that really can be a major consideration is the floor space that they take up. And I've got to say, when you take into account the stands along with the R3 Metas, there's actually not a lot of difference at all. Yes, the R7s are a little bit taller. I should say we're using some Partington stands, some really old school stands here. And with those stands taken into account, the R7s are a little bit taller. But in terms of actual raw space they take up on the floor, it's actually not a lot of difference whatsoever. Focusing a little bit more on the speakers on paper, the technical specifications, there's actually, again, a lot in common between the R3 and R7 Meta. Now, one thing that isn't in common is the price. The R3 Meta coming in at $1,899 and the R7 Meta coming in at $3,999. So over £2,000 worth of difference, yet they've both got the same technology, the matte technology, the unique drivers built into both of them. So what actually are you getting for over double the price with the R7 Meta? On paper initially, again, they look very closely matched. I mean, yes, the R7 does have the edge in both sensitivity and maximum output, but we're talking minor swings here. It's 111 dB maximum output on the R7 versus 110 on the R3. And again, sensitivity, we're talking 88 dB versus 87. These are 1 decibel swings. And again, on paper, you might think to yourself, well, I can save myself over £2,000 here and I'm getting the same kind of speaker. What I will say is one of the key and overlooked stats a lot of the time in hi-fi is the fact that the recommended power that you can put behind these speakers tops out at a maximum of 180 watts in the R3 Metas compared to 250 watts on the R7s, which is very significant. And that is going to come on to really tell the story of where the R7 Metas outshine the R3 in the long term. Now, as we do come on to talk about the sound and performance of these two speakers, I've got to say straight out of the gates, As close as they may look on paper when you look at technical specifications, this is yet another example for me as to exactly why you need to listen to things in person to get the full story. And we've tried to help you guys with that in this video, because at the end we will be including a sound test where we're comparing the R3 and R7 directly, something that you guys have been asking a lot for, so that'll be right at the end. Make sure to stick around for that. I do want to also mention in the system we used a Name Unity Atom, something that we use fairly regularly, and I think sounded fantastic with both of these. I think it did leave a little bit of performance on the table when it came to the R7 Metas, and I only say that having listened to both of these speakers in multiple systems before. But even with that taken into account, straight away, as close as these look on paper, the difference is night and day in person. We'll start off by talking a little bit about the R3 Meta individually, because this really is a fantastic piece of audio engineering. I mean, we've covered it to death, but just how well the UniQ and MAT technology works together. And don't get me wrong, the R3 Meta is a chunky bookshelf, but still the sound that it puts out is absolutely fantastic. It can fill a really decent sized room, no issues whatsoever, and gives you a really transparent, neutral and detailed sound. The replication of instruments, the vocals, the treble, all of it for me is absolutely spot on. And if you're someone that's got a smaller sized room, for me, this is a fantastic choice of speaker, especially if you're someone that's listening on lower volumes or doing nearer field listening. The R3 Meta is a fantastic, fantastic choice. And I do think when you put it up against other bookshelf speakers that are in that kind of £2,000 or below price bracket, it's more often than not going to come out on top, because again, the sound that it produces for the size of the cabinet is absolutely fantastic. Now, when you compare that to the R7 Meta, again, it's got that wonderful KEF neutral, transparent sound that, for me, is exactly what so many people are looking for. You want to hear music as it's supposed to be heard. The whole R range, the R Meta range, does that really, really well for KEF. But where you start to notice the big difference is that, yes, the R3 Meta makes a fantastically big soundstage. Yes, it can fill a room to a decent size. And yes, thanks to the MAT technology and UniQ technology, it offers very little distortion at those high peaks. But the R7 Meta does that with so much more finesse and control. It is, as I said before, absolute night and day. And I mean, if you can fill a decent sized room with the R3 Meta, the R7 Meta can fill a ginormous room. Honestly, the control it offers at the higher volumes is absolutely breathtaking. And again, as we've touched upon, that KEF neutrality and transparency remains the same to produce what is a bombastic sound. It's very much the case that everything that the R3 Meta does so well, the R7 Meta does just those couple of steps, those couple of levels better, whether it's the larger soundstage, which then leads to better separation, that then leads to more detailing, and it's just like a domino effect. Because it's a bigger sound, it's just a lot more controlled and a lot more surrounding when you're listening to it as an overall musical experience. And what I will say as well is that I think these are a lot more suited for someone that's using them in an AV setting. They both sound fantastic for music, and don't get me wrong, I think that the R3 Metas could have a place in an AV system as like a rear speaker, but the extra frequency range, the extra bass extension that you get from the R7 Meta just helps you reach those lower troughs in the low end, and that is a very, very noticeable straight out of the gate. It almost feels like the extra size and weight of the R7 Metas is tangible because of those lows that it's managing to hit, because of the size of the sound that it's putting out. You can just feel it's a bigger speaker, and that is embodied in the whole experience. And this doesn't mean to say that the R3 Meta is a bad speaker. Again, for a bookshelf speaker at its price point, it is absolutely fantastic. But if you're someone that's got the budget and a room that's big enough to benefit the R7 Metas, it is a no-brainer. It is a superior speaker, and whilst those differences and the superiority on paper may look very small, very minute, in person they are incredibly, incredibly evident. I think for a lot of people, the question is going to be, yes, they're better. Yes, they produce a bigger sound. You might have been able to surmise that before even clicking on this video. It's a bigger speaker. All of that, some might say, is pretty obvious. But the big question is, are they over £2,000 better? And I genuinely think they are, and a couple of reasons why. Now, don't forget, if you're someone that's looking at this and looking to try and save the money, perhaps go for an R3 Meta to get the same level of performance and save a bit of dosh, the saving can actually be smaller than you'd think, because by the time you've factored in a pair of speaker stands, let's not forget that the KEF official speaker stands are over £600. By the time you potentially then added in a subwoofer, not that I necessarily think you'd need one with the R3, you certainly don't need one with the R7, the price difference is getting smaller and smaller with every little thing you have to add on. And for me, the fact that you can get the R7 Metas out the box, set up, and you're away, no need for a subwoofer, no need for stands. You know, the difference in price is going to be smaller than you think, and you're getting all of that extra control that I still don't think you get with the R3 Meta. So yes, I truly do think that the difference in price is warranted. And if you've got a large enough room that you can get the speakers in, they will be noticeably better. And again, we're not bashing on the R3 Metas here. They're a great speaker, but the R7 Meta just takes everything they do and pushes it up to that next level. I touched on it a little bit briefly earlier in the video, but I think if you're someone that's doing low-level, near-field listening in a smaller environment, the R3 Meta is a fantastic choice. But bigger spaces, bigger staging, larger sound, more control, the R7 Meta is undoubtedly the better speaker here, and by some margin. At this point in the video, I am always really curious though to hear your opinions, whether you're someone that's listening to the R3 Meta, the R7, both, maybe you even own both in some sort of cinema style AV system. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. This is going to round up the video. The sound test will be following this section shortly, so if you do enjoy, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe for weekly hi-fi content, enjoy the sound test, and we'll speak to you all in next week's content. See you there, guys.